Yeah, so I went on parental leave. So I did the dad thing for a little bit, which was a lot of fun. Learned a lot about Bluey and what it meant to raise a toddler as well as a 4-year-old. So I was Mr. Dad, which was great. Came back to the CBC in February, and since then I've been backfill hosting for another program called Ontario Morning, which is like Windsor Morning, but for areas like Barrie, Peterborough, Kingston. And then now I'm on another project, which I can get into later. But yeah, I haven't been in Windsor, and it's been difficult.
Expand on that.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why I wanted to join you here today, and this is not an easy decision, but I really felt like I needed to speak to the team and to the audience and to everyone that's ever anyone that ever listened while I was hosting the show is, unfortunately, I will not be returning as host of Windsor Morning. It's a very difficult decision. It's one that's personal, involves my family. Wasn't one that was easy, but it's something that, for the betterment of my family and my life and the betterment of the show and the station and CBC Windsor that I have to make. And I just wanted an opportunity just to share that for people to hear it coming out of my mouth versus doing a social media post, which will come. There will be a social media post because I'll be posting on social media, obviously. But I just wanted to make sure that people were able to hear it from me. I've been getting a lot of messages over the last few months, which have meant a lot to me, of people wondering where I am. And I would have loved to have been here hosting the show since my return from parental leave, but unfortunately, other circumstances were impacting my ability to be here, and it's a decision that I had to make, and I'm very sad about it.
We're sad about it too. It's nice to have you back. It feels like you haven't left, just even you being back in the studio. You have a presence about you. You have a voice that has always been very warm.
Feels
and
weird
inviting.
Sitting in this chair, by the way.
Do you want to switch?
No.
Do you want to hop on over
No,
here?
you're doing a fantastic
job. You could have showed up at 6, but whatever. Show up 2 hours later with Timbits and we all forgive you. But.
Well, I did show up for Timbits, but I showed up at 8, which was kind of nice to sleep in. I'm not
It's
gonna
true.
lie.
How do you like that?
Yeah, it's cool. It's being a morning show host is an interesting job. You operate on a different schedule, as you know, because you've been doing it now for quite some time. I was able to do it for Ontario Morning for the last couple of months, so I was back into the routine. But it's a very special job, and that's the one thing that I'm going to miss the most about Windsor Morning is the connection that we have with the audience. As people in the industry, whether it be broadcasting, journalism, podcasting, whatever it is, if you have a mic in front of your face, sometimes you just don't know who you're talking to. You're just talking and you're hoping someone's listening. But the last couple months have really shown me that people do listen. And as a morning show host, you play a huge role in someone's life, a role that you'll probably never understand when you're sitting in a studio. And it's a role that I never took for granted. It's a role that I really, really appreciated. Just a story that comes to mind. I don't mean to ramble, but just things are just coming to me as I speak. A story that came to mind to me when I first got this job. I remember it was like September. I think I had just come back from when my son was born. My son's a Windsorite, which is always going to be really cool. And a guy emailed me. I think he emailed me about a pitch. And then on the second paragraph, he's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know it's kind of cool to see a South Asian guy hosting a radio show in Windsor because I grew up in Windsor my entire life as a South Asian man, and I never thought I'd see that kind of visibility in the media space here." And that's when it kind of hit me like, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm not doing this for the paycheck. You do it for bigger reasons than that. And that moment always stuck with me because it made me realize just how important this job is. And that's what I'm going to miss the most about being in this community is just being able to be a part of people's lives, whether it be good or bad. We talked about a bunch of different things while I was on the show, obviously, because the morning shows are always different every single day. But I hope that during my time here, anyone who listened enjoyed it and was able to get some value out of the conversations that we had.
Are you sticking around with our program? What's the future hold?
I won't be at Windsor Morning. I am leaving the show. I am currently with CBC Toronto for the time being. I was backfill hosting on Ontario Morning. I am now on a project where I am covering the Mississauga by-election. I'm originally from Peel Region, so it's an area that I'm very familiar with. So I'm working with a great team out there to cover the by-election, which is coming up, which is going to replace Bonnie Crombie, who became the leader of the Ontario Liberals. And then I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. Might hear me on cue again. That was kind of fun being able to do that. I'll be hosting maybe day 6 in August, so I'll still be around. But I think I'm more so going to use this time to figure out what I want to do next. Like I never had a journalism degree. Like I have a different background than a lot of my colleagues, so it's going to be kind of cool to kind of figure out what the next move is. But for the time being, I'm happy to be staying put with the CBC still and do my thing.
Now, when you look back, you were here in 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any great stories that stick out to you? When I think of you, I think of wrestling. Your wrestling pitches might go down in history as the most pitched story in a
Oh my
Windsor Morning
God.
Story meeting.
And we did a lot of wrestling stories,
We
which was
did.
fun, which was because Windsor's a wrestling town.
It is.
And there's so much history here. And apologies to the audience for, sitting through some of those stories.
Maybe
if
they
don't
miss
like
it.
them.
Maybe I'm not pulling my weight in the wrestling world.
Maybe we can get Amy in a wrestling ring or even Mike in a wrestling ring one day.
Together?
Sure,
Tag team?
yeah. Why not? Why not? The battle for Windsor Morning supremacy. Favorite stories, a bunch. The cool thing about this job is I got to do stuff even outside of the host chair, but stuff that I did while hosting the show, being able to talk to refugee claimants at Matthew House was an experience I never thought I'd have. All the stories we did about international students, good or bad, stories about them prospering in our community and starting businesses and doing cultural events, as well as some of the harder ones like them not being able to find jobs or them having to rely on food banks just to make a living or just to be able to live life in our community. I did a really cool story about the Windsor techno scene, which was underground, which was a lot of fun. It was a scene that Mike's nodding his head. It was a scene that I randomly stumbled upon in Walkerville because that's where I lived when I was here in Windsor. So that was kind of cool because it was literally like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden it became a story. And I was able to actually file that for the World this weekend too, which was kind of nice to shine a light on Windsor's techno scene, which is very underground, but still pretty cool and on a broader scale. A lot of the city issues, like I remember the coverage we did about Safe Point as well, and some of the conversations we were having around that about a year or so ago were stuff that really stuck with me. But that's the great thing about a place like Windsor, places like Sarnia, places like Chatham, is there's so many stories and so much history, and I didn't even scratch the surface, right? Like during my time here, and I think to really do the areas justice, we obviously need a lot more time, a lot more shows. But I just really felt like there was just a lot of stories to tell across all the listening areas, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, we appreciated you, Nav. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming back. Because of time, I'm going to get you to throw to the song that you picked.
Okay, so you're cutting. I sent Mike a few songs. That's it. Okay. Well. I like to. I did choose a lot of my music here because thanks to Mike and Tom when I was hosting the show. Some of the selections hit, some of them didn't. But it's okay. That's how we rolled around here when I was hosting Windsor Morning. But one song that I have been listening to a lot that's super motivational that I kind of want to leave the audience with. It has a great message. It's a song called "Life Will Be" by Cleo Soul, and I hope you take a lot from it. And I just again wanted to thank the audience for allowing me to be a part of your lives, and maybe I'll see you down the road. Thank you.